Okay, I wasn't going to do a video on this piece, but I have been thinking about it for the past week. This comes from the Sunday Times and it is written by their Royal Rota representative. It's not that King Harry won't speak to Prince Harry. He can't. I want to talk about this not only because it shows what their line of defense is going to be in the face of Harry's accusations about security, and because it's a great example of how you can use your media literacy tools to cut through the noise of this piece. We know from the quotation marks in the title that this is a statement that is attributed to someone else. Who that person is, we will find out. Here is the subhead. Close friends of Charles say that even when the Duke of Sussex talks of reconciliation, it is laced with threats and anger. I'd say that the anger is pretty justified. The whole point of reconciliation is to be able to work through that and past that. This is a problem that most of us cannot relate to. Simply, yeah, I understand why Harry would be a bit miffed about having his armed royal security that he's had since birth, because he is a royal. He was born royal. He will always be a royal. That doesn't change whether you have working or non-working in front of your royal title. That security was just pulled after being given a 12-month period, or so we've been told, of transition time while Harry and Meghan were exiting the royal family. Yeah, I kind of understand why there's some hurt feelings. But anyway, let's get into the piece. First, the reframing of why Harry and Meghan left working royal life. Quote, he let rip at the royal household while insisting, I remain committed to public service 5 years after leaving royal duties for a lucrative life in America. What? He didn't leave for a lucrative life. That has been the byproduct of successfully establishing themselves without any help from the royal family. Isn't that what you want? Why are you complaining about them being self-sufficient and leaving out the fact that they didn't want to leave working royal life? They wanted to find a way to be able to work in a half-in, half-out way that prioritized their family and their safety. Not dissimilar from what we're seeing from the Waleses right now. Sorry, not sorry. Another thing that is important is how this interview is framed. It's not Harry telling his side of the story. It's Harry putting on his boxing gloves and going round for round against the royal family. Blistering statements, scathing accusations. Then there's my favorite, why didn't you consult the royal diary? Because all of this happened on a day when the royal family hoped their headlines would be celebrating Princess Charlotte's 10th birthday. I don't know, that kind of seems like more of a problem that the royal family should take up with the media. It's not like stories aren't shared or information shared to bury another story or highlight a different cause, etc. Which brings us to the why King Charles can't possibly talk to Harry. This is where we get quotes from close friends of Charles. Remember, these very well could just be sources that are approved by Charles's camp. It could be close friends, it could be palace sources, but it sounds better if it's a friend. It feels a little less cold if it's coming from close friends, because then you feel like you're getting more insight into their personal relationship. This is beyond business. Here is the quote from the headline. It's not that the king won't speak to him, it's that he can't. How can you have a private and delicate conversation when you know it is going to end up on a news special within hours? Stop right there. Yes, Prince Harry wrote a book called Spare, which he concedes some members of his family will never forgive him for. And there was the Oprah interview and the Netflix documentary. But I'm not sure if there's a lot of proof that every time anyone says anything to him in the royal family, it suddenly is leaked to the media. I fail to see what's delicate about a conversation that involves you potentially interfering with your youngest son's security. Really what they're saying is that they don't like the way Prince Harry gets information out there, because the royal households leak on each other all the time. They're trying to gain favor with the media. They're trying to push their stories, get other ones swept under the rug. They're giving different bits of information to try to help out their principal. Like, you're mad at how the information gets out there, which actually refreshingly you can trace to Prince Harry because it's coming out of his mouth. I mean, all this is doing is leaking information, one could say kind of delicate personal information about where King Charles stands with his youngest son through the use of close friends. And then finally, perhaps if he tried to earn rather than demand a reconciliation, things might go a little better for him. It's just very tragic. How would you suggest that he earns reconciliation? I don't know. Seems like if any time over the past 5 years, anyone in the palace had the foresight to actually deal with this, or allowed RAVEC and the RMB to carry out their process as usual, instead of using security as something to hang over Harry and Meghan's head to force them back to the UK, maybe we wouldn't have these court cases. Maybe we wouldn't have had the BBC interview. The idea that the onus and responsibility is all on Harry and not the king is fucking ridiculous. Anyway, it seems like this is going to be the palace line. King Charles would love to talk to his younger son, but he just can't risk it.